Now that we have looked at sensors, let us try to see how the world of IoT is shaping up. Cisco predicts that by 2020, there will be 50 billion connected devices in this world. A staggering 50 billion. So, from 25 billion devices in 2017, we are looking at 50 billion devices by 2020. 50 billion connected devices. It is also estimated that by 2020, there will be approximately 7.5 billion people on this planet. So, by calculation, each person will have approximately 7 connected devices. Just look at today. It is said that approximately 3.5 connected objects per person. How many do we have with us? We have the mobile phone, maybe with 1 or 2 SIM cards. We have a laptop, a home computer, office computer, a tablet or an iPad, smart TV, smart refrigerator, fit band, smart watch, smart glasses. We have also seen that an average house in the developed economy has about 15 to 25 sensors or connected equipment. If we offset all of these connected devices against the developing or the poor nations, we can say that yes, as of today, there are about 3 to 4 connected devices per person. So, estimation of 50 billion devices by 2020 is not too far-fetched. At the most, I see the figure to be around 35 to 40 billion connected devices, and that is a huge amount of devices that are connected to the internet. And when we have so many connected devices, a lot of industries are going to be benefited. Aviation industry, which spends a lot of its input cost on jet fuel, if an IoT solution can help in increasing the efficiency of jet fuel consumption, it is believed that about 30 billion US dollars will be saved for the entire aviation industry in the next couple of years. Similarly, with the transport industry, if the system inefficiencies are reduced because of IoT, about 27 billion US dollars will be saved. The energy sector, the electricity generation system, there are a lot of inefficiencies. If IoT is used, the system can be made more efficient and a staggering 66 billion US dollars can be saved over the next couple of years. And in the distribution of fuel, the capital expenditure, the savings in capital expenditure will be close to 90 billion US dollars if IoT is incorporated in the overall scheme of things. Thus, connected devices are going to be very useful for the industries. Traditional industries, which have been spending a lot and have too many inefficiencies, are really going to see the benefit of implementing sensors and IoT solutions. So, when we enter this world of IoT, what are we going to get? We are going to get informed products. Products that tell the consumer or the user more about themselves. We are going to get informed people who become smart because of all the data that sensors generate and is analyzed. We are going to get informed processes that know if something is going wrong or is about to go wrong. And we will get informed infrastructure. Any device or any system that has the capacity to control itself according to the environment in which it operates. Let me go one by one with all of these 4 elements that will come to us with IoT. Let me first speak about informed products. Let me give you some very simple examples. Imagine your washing machine. It is fitted with sensors. Now, these sensors determine the condition of your machine, whether it is working well, whether it is being overloaded, or whether some things are not just right. These sensors can predict if the machine will fail if it is continued to use as it is. A washing machine is a very important appliance in the life of a working woman or of a housewife. Predictive analysis or predictive information helps save a lot of trouble. Imagine the car with all the sensors. You may be aware that behind the steering wheel of a car, there is an OBD port, OBD as in onboard diagnostic. These days, you get devices that you can connect to these ports and fetch information about your car onto your mobile device through the device. Now, if you keep getting information about your car, you keep getting insights, and you will know if something is going wrong with the car. Again, the predictive analytics is going to warn you beforehand whether your car is in some sort of danger. Thus, with the washing machine and the car, both the products are telling you, hey, I'm about to go bust. Save me. And you do your best to save them so that your convenience does not get impacted. I'm going to speak of another example of an informed product. And with this example, I'm going to introduce a concept. We all know that milk is available in Tetra Pak. When we buy milk in a Tetra Pak, we can store it, it lasts long. Imagine if a company introduces a small sensor unit into this Tetra Pak, and the sensor can tell you whether the milk inside is sour, has turned bad, or it is still good enough for consumption. You would say, it is good because I can know if the milk is good or it has gone bad. There are some companies which have done that. So the moment you pick up such a Tetra Pak from a shopping mall and you go to the counter, the can or the pack gets tagged against you, or that is against your mobile number. And if the milk goes bad, you will get an SMS saying that don't use the milk is bad. An absolutely fantastic use case. Now, if you are asked to pay 50 cents more for such a Tetra Pak of milk, would you still think that it is a wonderful use case? You would probably say, I don't need to spend 50 cents to know if my milk is good or bad. I can look at it and I can tell you, why spend 50 cents for something that is visible to my eyes? Now, a use case that was wonderful has suddenly become not so useful. Now, let me change the context a little bit. Imagine that there is a working couple. Both husband and wife are working, and they have a small baby which is looked after by the nanny. And the husband and wife come home pretty late, and they depend upon the nanny to serve milk, food, everything to the small baby. Wouldn't this be a wonderful use case for the working couple? Obviously, you want a nanny who is trustworthy, but you wouldn't put all your trust on the nanny. You still want to see if things are being done right by the nanny. People use cameras or other devices to keep a tab. But what a wonderful thing if you would know that the milk that is supposed to be fed to your small baby has gone bad. Surely you wouldn't trust your nanny to look at the Tetra Pak and decide on the condition of the milk. Here, the use case becomes extremely useful and important to the working couple. The point I'm trying to make, a use case which looked absolutely wonderful, but the moment I introduced the cost factor, it looked okay. And now when I change the context to the working couple, it becomes even more useful. Its value is more than the 50 cents that are being charged extra. I will say that when you are looking at designing an IoT solution, technology is important, but even more important is the context for which you are building this use case. If you cannot articulate the context, people are not going to find your use case important. In IoT, it is very, very important that you lay down the context, articulate the context, and then design the solution and try to sell the solution. Let me give you one final example of an informed product. Medicine boxes or medicine bottles for the aged people, for chronic diseases like diabetes or blood pressure or cholesterol. Aged or elderly people tend to forget when the medicine is about to get over, and they generally realize it after the medicine is actually over. Imagine if there are sensors in the boxes or in the bottles, and as the threshold for the medicine is reached, it not only informs the patient or the near ones, it actually places an order for a new bottle or a new box, so that the new bottle or the new box is delivered to the elderly people even before the original bottle is over. Wouldn't that be really magnificent? And would you spend $1 or two more for such a useful solution? Again, it is the context in which you pitch your IoT solution. Just technology is not going to help you sell a solution. You have to find the right context within which to sell your solution. Now, let me speak about informed people. When we have smart products like a smart washing machine or the smart car that we just discussed, we are going to get a lot of information beforehand about the condition of these devices. Even with devices like Fitbands or smart shoes, we are going to get a lot of useful information about our body that can be shared with the doctors. In each case, there is a lot of data based on which we will be taking proactive decisions. Data and insights are going to allow us to make decisions that were not possible before. The next we have is informed processes. Let me give you a couple of examples. The first example is of a bottling plant where bottles come onto the assembly line and they are filled with some liquid, maybe water, maybe some drink. Imagine something goes wrong with the bottling process and the bottle is filled only half. Earlier, unless somebody spotted the half-filled bottle, the process would continue. And even if it was stopped immediately, there were still bottles that were half-filled, which would need to be again refilled. A waste of time and efforts and money. But with IoT, as soon as the first bottle is half filled, you will know because of some sensors like the weight sensor or the volume sensor that the bottle is not getting filled. Something has gone wrong with the process. So the process stops at the first instance of a process gone wrong. It saves tremendous amount of money for the manufacturers. This was an example where a process knows whether it is going well or something has gone wrong. The other example is of a car manufacturing company When you paint cars, you want the temperature of the assembly to be within a certain threshold. Otherwise, the paint does not stick to the surface of the car. If the temperature was beyond the threshold, the paint would just fall off, a waste of material, human labor, and money. If this was IoT enabled, as soon as the threshold was breached, the process would have stopped through an alarm. Again, we have informed processes that work only when the conditions and the environment are apt for it to continue. The last is informed infrastructure. There are a few ways to look at the element of informed infrastructure. The first are devices like the routers or the switches that have to transmit at a certain power. In the world of Internet of Things, such infrastructure will know how many devices are connected, how many units it has to communicate to, and the power at which they transmit will be modulated or controlled through the device itself without any external maneuvering. Another aspect of looking at infrastructure are the bulbs, the fans, the appliances in a house. They know when to go on and when to go off. There are cases where music systems know which song to play depending upon who is in the room. This is what we mean by informed infrastructure. Thus, in the world of IoT, we will have informed products, informed people, informed processes, and an informed infrastructure that make the world a truly digital world. Many people will say, okay, the world is changing, IoT is coming, but does it matter to us? I don't think I'm going to be impacted by IoT or sensors. Now consider this. Again, it's a hypothetical situation, but a situation that is going to be a reality very, very soon. In the developed world, people go to their offices. They generally drive from their home to the train station, and they take a train to the central business district, and they walk down to their office. Imagine a person X whose office starts at 10. Mr. X wakes up at 8. From 8 to 8:30, he gets ready. He has a shower, he has a nice shave, he wears his clothes and is ready. 8:30 to 9, he drives to the nearest railway station. 9 to 9:45, he takes the train, and 9:45 to 10, he walks to his office. This is the schedule that Mr. X follows. One day, Mr. X has a meeting at 10 a.m. But the previous night, he has gone out with some friends and is back home only at 10:30 p.m. He comes home and he goes to bed. The person with whom he has his meeting at 10 a.m. next morning cancels the meeting. The calendar app knows that the 10 a.m. meeting now is cancelled. So what happens next in this world of IoT? The calendar talks to the other connected devices. The Fitbit gives an indication that Mr. X needs rest. Too much of stress the earlier day. Probably not right to wake him at 8 o'clock. His pulse rate is a little abnormal. So the calendar app and the Fitbit decide that we need to set the alarm clock from 8 to 8:30. The alarm clock is very happy, but the car is not too happy. The car is out of fuel and it needs a refuel. It jumps into the conversation and says, "Hey, wait, I need 15 minutes to refuel myself." So instead of moving the alarm from 8 to 8:30, just move it to 8:15. Automatically, the geyser, the thermostat, all of them adjust themselves to the new schedule for tomorrow. And Mr. X, instead of waking up at 8, wakes up at 8:15 and the schedule continues. You might wonder that this is very hypothetical and possibly not something that will happen very soon. But believe me, such scenarios are already taking place and will be part of our lives very soon. Thus, we are talking of a scenario where things will talk to each other and make decisions on behalf of human beings. Scary, you might think, but a reality is what I think. And why am I so sure? It is because of companies like Google, Apple, Cisco, GE, IBM, Facebook, you name them, Microsoft. All these companies are investing billions and billions and billions of dollars into IoT solutions. And these are just few of the companies. Almost every company on this earth is investing in IoT-led solutions. So it's no longer a choice of what we want. The choice has been made by these companies. Whether we like it or not, we are soon going to be living in a world of sensors and connected things. The world that many of us may dread is going to be a reality very soon. Again, I will say the choice has been made, not by you, but by somebody else. And this is the life we are going to live in the near future. Now that we have accepted IoT as a way of our future life, let us try to look at the different meanings and definitions of IoT. The formal way of looking at IoT is that it is a network of networks that enables to identify digital entities and physical objects, whether inanimate like things, cars, buildings, even plants, or animate like human beings and animals. IoT is for everyone and everything. Conceptually, it means that things or objects will have a new identity. So far, we could identify systems on the internet because each system got an IP address. So if you needed to identify a pen on the internet, or if you needed to identify a trouser on the internet, you need to make sure that the pen or the trouser gets an IP address. Now, we are seeing that we are moving from IPv4 to IPv6. It is believed that with IPv6 that there will be enough IP addresses for each atom on the surface of our planet. Thus, the question of providing IP addresses to things will never be a bottleneck. So technically, it is a new naming system that provides for more number of IP addresses, and thus more things and objects can be identified on the internet. And what does it do to this world of ours? Sensors and connected devices open up a completely new world of applications, of products, of services, new ways of doing same thing, new ways of doing the business, new ways of making money. It opens up a completely new space for innovation services. That is the power of IoT or Internet of Things.